Hi everyone, this is Mari Craig, and you're listening to the Small Steps to Wellness show, a podcast where we discuss how we can achieve more wellness in our lives one small step at a time. For the past 6 odd years, I've taken a special interest in nutrition and I've changed the diet of my family on its head. But as I've dived deeper into the world of nutrition, I have learned that health is so much more than just what we put on our plate. This is why on this podcast we will be talking nutrition, mental health, being in alignment, holistic health care, self care, raising children, and more. We will also be hearing stories of women's journeys to overcome trauma and what it has taught them on the way. When we share our stories, we realize we are not alone and that things can change for the better. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey as I explore what health and wellness truly encompass. If you like what you're hearing, please consider rating the show with a 5-star rating and sharing it with your friends. It really makes a big difference. Now, on with today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Small Steps to Wellness show with me, your host, Mari Craig, where we are discussing how we can achieve more wellness in our lives, one small step at a time. Today, I want to focus a little bit on health and lifestyle and diet and all of those things that are creeping up on us after Christmas, because it seems that before Christmas we are being given all these recipes of mince pies and chocolate this and chocolate that and gravy this and that and all the rest of it. And then come the new year, it's all about how to lose a stone in 2 minutes. And so I have with me a few of my friends. I've got Debbie Best with me, registered nutritional therapist. I've got Aina Framnes with me from Norway. She's a student of naturopathy. I've got Amy Durston with me, registered reflexologist, and I've got Stephanie Bernard with me, a health advocate and a former school teacher. And we're going to be talking a little bit about our lifestyle changes and what we promote and some of the issues we're seeing. Something that I try to advocate a lot when I talk to people who want to change their lifestyle is the 80-20 approach. And by that I mean that we 80% of the time try to eat as healthily as we can, but then also have a 20% kind of allowance for indulgences. Because what we don't want to be doing is to promote a kind of a shame or a point system, or, make us, when we do have that piece of cake, make us eat that cake, but also feel guilty about it afterwards, because I do believe that that's going to cause more harm. I believe that when we are allowing ourselves something that we don't necessarily do all the time, so the 20%, that we should enjoy it for what it is and then get back on it afterwards, because otherwise it's a double whammy of unhealthy stuff and an unhealthy mind after. I think this balance is really, really important, because we need to feel good about ourselves. I have a bit of an issue with this whole weight loss thing after Christmas, and I was trying to find words that don't include profanities to describe how I feel about the magazines before and after Christmas. Because if you look at all the tabloids and magazines now, it's all about how to create all these lovely meals and indulge in everything, and then after Christmas is all about how not to do it anymore. And I think it's messing with our minds quite a bit. And this leads me on to talking a little bit about why we as a group promote lifestyle change over diet. And I was wondering, Amy, if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about exactly this. Why do we not care so much for diets, and why is a lifestyle change more important?
Hey Mari, thank you for having me here. So yeah, lifestyle change and diets, it's all all the buzzwords. But for me, I guess when you think of being healthy, our diet and being a healthy weight is only one piece of the puzzle, I guess. And for me, being healthy and adopting a healthy lifestyle is so much more than what the scales are telling me. And what I've come to realize is also that the less I focus on the scales and the more I focus on adopting healthy habits, the better I feel. So I tend to measure my health by how comfortable I feel in my clothes and my energy levels, even my skin, which is a great indicator of what's going on inside. Also my mental focus, how clear my head is, and also where my stress levels and my worry levels are at. So I don't really just focus on my weight when it comes to being healthy. So all those things that I tend to focus on, and I share with lots of my friends and clients, they're really essential to any kind of health approach, and they're called the pillars of health. And if you think of it like sleep well, drink well, relax well, move well, and also eat well. And as a reflexologist, that relax well component or pillar is the one that I'm noticing that most people find really, really hard to include, because we're all so busy and we don't always put our needs first, especially if we have kids to look after, or we have other commitments that we think, need to take precedence over our needs. But I came across this lovely quote the other day, and you must have heard of, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So have you ever considered that what's in the cup is for you, and then what overflows is for everyone else? I hadn't really ever thought of it that way, and it really made me realize it's not selfish to put yourself first. It's, I guess, self-full. So you've got to do things to fill your cup to be healthy, and that's basically fulfilling all those pillars of health. And if you only do the healthy lifestyle things here and there, and then your default is to overdo it on the less healthy things like staying up late, or eating just before bed, or having excessive alcohol or caffeine, or not making time to relax, or not making time to plan or prep your meals, you're probably going to find yourself in like a vicious cycle of probably feeling quite stressed or overwhelmed, probably eating those quick and convenient processed options, maybe drinking empty calories in the form of alcohol, and then being, less hydrated and less motivated to exercise. But then if you flip that on its head and do the opposite all year round, so you practice those pillars of health all year round with that 80-20 approach, when it comes to those special occasions, especially Christmas, then it's okay to tip the scales a bit, because your default now is the healthy lifestyle, and then it's easier to get back to that healthy lifestyle afterwards. So that's what I always promote. And we take part in these monthly cleanses that essentially encompass all of those pillars of health. So we don't just focus on weight loss, and I think that has a much better sustainable effect than just focusing on diet. In fact, what I've noticed is I've found my body is like wholeheartedly grateful when I go back to the healthy habits, because for me it means less bloating, it means more energy, more mental clarity, better mood, and in fact that's going to be me on Monday after this weekend, because I'm going to be indulging a bit at a Christmas party. So I'm going to be looking forward to feeling that goodness after the indulgence.
I love that. Thank you, Amy, for sharing that. I have to confess, when you were talking about, so basically what you're sharing is essentially a cleanse that we as a group here promote, that we've called the phytonutrient cleanse, because we're adding so many extra goodness into our diet in the form of plants. But I realized the last couple of weeks, and it really hit me on Saturday, that I've been thinking I've got a relatively, well, he's 3 months old tomorrow, baby. And I've been thinking my diet's been so good. I take all these whole food supplements. I drink really well. I actually don't sleep too badly either. But I've been thinking that I can do all of these things that I used to do because my diet is so good. And it's really hit me this weekend that I cannot, because, as you say, all the pillars need to be there. And the amount of stress that it is having a newborn has really knocked me. And so I've seen kind of firsthand, especially this weekend, but also yesterday, how important it is to look at all the pillars of health and not just what you eat. So that's been quite a biggie for me. My body has said, hold on a minute, and it's forced me to actually lie down and rest. So this is the thing as well, I think, that we can only ignore what our body is telling us for so long until our body, in the end, it will just scream and go, you've got to stop now. And then you've got no choice, right? But thank you for that. I think it's really important to clarify what we mean by lifestyle change. It's not just about your diet. Can I move over to you, Debbie? Because I also would like to know from you the importance of or why we don't focus on calories, because whenever we do cleanses, or as a group here in general, we tend to not measure anything. It's all, or if we measure anything, it's how many colors you can put on your plate. So why do we not have that calorie focus that a lot of diets, a lot of so-called lifestyle changes or cleanses seem to have?
Sorry, thank you for having me here. It's a really good point, isn't it? I mean, everybody, I think, at some stage in their life has done a calorie counting regime, and to be honest, they just don't work. So first of all, what is a calorie? So calories are just simply units of energy that your body would get by simply eating or drinking a certain amount of food or drink. So that energy is equal to the amount of heat, if you want to get a little bit scientific here, the amount of heat required to raise temperature of 1 gram of food by 1 degree. So that's sort of like the sciencey bit, but essentially it's about what we put in is equal to what we put out. So a lot of diets, I think, in the past have focused on eat less, move more. And I think that is such a simplistic approach. If that worked, then I think the majority of the population wouldn't have a problem with weight issues. But it doesn't work because, and this is with my nutritional hat on now, all calories are not created equal. So I'm going to use an example for you of, if we take 200 grams of a donut with compared to 200 grams of mixed nuts, for instance, then you've got exactly the same amount of calories in both of those portions of food. So you would then think, well, in terms of energy, that's going to provide my body, and and if I'm actually reducing my calories, then it doesn't matter what I eat, it's just the calorific content. That couldn't be far more from the truth, because what we really want to encourage is nutrient dense foods. So, and sometimes those nutrient dense foods like nuts actually are much more calorific than, say, a small bowl of pasta, for instance. But the thing is, it's what's in those calories that counts. So if you're eating, a lovely plate of eating the rainbow, lots of vegetables, lots of say fruits and vegetables, quality protein and some healthy fats, the calorific content in that meal would be maybe a slightly bit higher than maybe just a pasta stirring. But the nutrient density of what you're getting is just so much more. You're getting, lots of nutrients, antioxidants, polyphenols, all of those things that the body really needs to function properly. So and I know Weight Watchers, I don't really want to call anybody out, but I mean, in my day, when I first looked at the Weight Watchers approach, which was, goodness me, probably 30, 40 years ago, it really was pretty much a calorie counting scheme. I know that they've come on leaps and bounds now, but that really just didn't work, because what it doesn't do is it doesn't educate you in eating the right sorts of foods. And we're all about educating people in having and eating the right sorts of foods that's going to nourish their body. So that's why, in my view, the calorie theory just doesn't work. And actually, also, just on that note, is if you're reducing your calories down, the body is very, 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 very clever. It will adapt. So if you're eating 1,000 calories a day, for instance, and not really caring where those calories come from, the body will slowly sort of slow itself down and adapt to that level of intake. So consequently, when you then start to increase your calories back up again, guess what? The weight will go back on. And that's why, yo-yo dieting tends not to work either. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think, by the way, you mentioned 200 grams of donut equals 200 grams of nuts, but I'm assuming you mean 200 calories.
Beg pardon, yes, of course, yes. 200 calories.
Yeah. I was just thinking 200 grams of nuts, probably a bit more than that.
Sure.
But it's interesting. I read a book a while ago by Dr. Andrew Jenkinson called Why We Eat Too Much. And he also talks about how the body always wants to go back to a certain level and then some more to kind of, I guess, compensate for what it's been going through. And he also talks about how if you actually do want to lose weight, because we've got to be honest as well, a lot of people will want to lose weight. Then you've got to do it slow and steady, he promotes. And it's about, he also says about what you eat, not how much, but what the contents of those calories actually are. So that I think that's really, really important. I think a lot of people will say, well, it worked for me, calorie counting. It worked back then, but I guess the question is, how long did it work for? Because I think probably we can all lose weight, but how long do we keep it off for? And what's the cost to us? And because Amy mentioned about lifestyle changes, that is the whole encompassing thing. And I think one of the really important things is also eating together as a family, if you have a family. And if, let's say, mum is on a diet counting calories, what kind of message does that send to the rest of the family about what's important? And also, can we not then have the same foods together? It raises a lot of questions, I think. So it's important to look at and those things as well. I wonder if we can also have a quick chat about why we as a group, we always say we should do a cleanse every month, because it's, you know, why not just one time? Why we do these things 10 days every month? Why do we do them every month? What kind of benefits will that have? I wonder, Aina, if you're able to just talk a little bit about that. Why do we do this every month?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that our body is actually very, very intelligent. We do have a liver that is supposed to work for us, which it does all the time, every day, and the whole night through. It is working for us. It is getting rid of toxins. It is helping us. But because of all the toxins that are in the air or in what we eat, the processed foods that we eat, because of that, it is working slower and not as fast or good as it should be. So we have to help the body. We have to help it a little bit. So how do we do that? Well, to me, that is, and to us, it is by doing a cleanse every month. And that is to help the body, to help the liver. But also, if we how do you say that? I'm I'm sorry, I'm Norwegian for everyone who's listening. So
it's not easy for us, is it?
So sorry, now Mari.
I think what we were discussing before we hit record is that a lot of, especially the magazines after Christmas, will talk about how to do things quickly and get over and done with and lose the weight. But we say, no, let's do this every month. So why can't we just fix our problems in 10 days?
Because I'm sorry, Mari. You have to.
Why is it? We mentioned it a little bit with or Amy mentioned it a little bit, that it's a lifestyle change, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I mean, you've been doing this. You've been eating really, really clean for a number of years due to your own health issues, and we've discussed that before. But what would have happened if you just done a 10-day stint of the cleanse and then nothing else? Where would your health be?
I would not have been good at all, I think. Because when we when we do this every month, we are telling our body that it's safe, that it can help us. And when, yeah, like a reset. Thank you. It's like a reset, because we need to give the body rest. We need to because the thing is that every time we put processed foods or ultra processed foods in our body, it's on an it's like the machine is just on and on and on and on and on. But when we help the body, it's getting this rest. It's getting it's getting rest.
Time to heal.
Time to heal. Yeah. Thank you. Because we need to help the body to understand that, hey, it's safe, you can heal. And every time we put foods, or every time we when we go outside, it's toxins everywhere. So when we help it, it can renew easier. And and also when we do a lifestyle change, when we help the body to get rid of toxins, you will also, well, for me it was a huge difference when I changed my diet. And it's not a diet change per se, it's not a diet, but when I understood how to help it, how to get more greens, more fruits, more berries, more healthy foods, healthy fats, it's then my brain started to think that, well, everything that I'm putting on my body also, it gets inside the body, because our skin is it's like how do you say that, it's like a, oh my gosh, swamp, Mari.
Yeah, it's a sponge.
Thank you.
Yes, it's a sponge. It really
it's a sponge. Yeah. So everything you put on it, it gets inside the body.
Yeah.
So why do I put all these harsh chemicals, harsh toxins on my body? How can that affect me? Well, it also affects the liver. And I think that we forget that a lot. So to me, that was a wake-up call. Why do I just care about what I eat? Why don't I care about the toxins that I'm filling my home with? The toxins that are that I'm putting on my body. Yeah. Makeup or perfumes or soaps, all of that. So that helped me to realize how much I can help my liver every day. And then when we'd have that cleanse every month, it kind of how do you say that? It gets to a point where you just get used to it. So every month that's what I do, but also for every month it will get easier and easier and easier, and then you stop thinking that it's a cleanse, because it's something you do every day. It's something you just do, because you realize how much better you feel, how much more your brains are working, how much more everything is just feeling greater. It's feeling better.
No, I think you're onto something, because so what is the exception, the 10 days of the cleanse, then become the norm, becomes the habit, because you've been doing it for so long. You've got a really, really good Instagram profile, and I will link to it in the show notes after, where you also talk about how you swap out harsh chemicals for more natural solutions. And I think this is really important. I noticed after I I sorted out my diet quite a bit, that I also started reacting to a lot of chemicals. And I wonder if it's kind of like peeling off layers of an onion. So all of a sudden, I'm reacting to scented candles. I'm reacting to chemicals in cleaning products. I'm reacting to creams on my body. And I didn't used to do that, but I wonder if it's because, you know, like if you have a headache and the headache goes, then you notice other aches and pains in your body. You always notice what aches the most, but then when that's gone, then you can start feeling all the other things.
Yeah. If you start looking at your body just like you're looking at a car, you are not putting sugar water in your car, are you? To get it running. No, you get actual fuel for the car. So if you do that to your body, if you know what you're putting in your body, it will be working properly. It won't just stop. It's just because you have to think of your body like a machine, because that's what it is. It's your machine. It's the way you're just like, how do you get your brain function? How do you get your everything function? You have to give it proper nutrition. And quality petrol, quality oil, quality diesel, it is.
And when you clean it, you've got to clean it properly, don't you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you can't just stop. I mean, you can't just have one hard clean every year. You can't do that.
There's going to be a lot of junk that gets collected. That's a really good analogy. Thank you for sharing that, because that is actually a really, really good analogy. Maybe I should not give the husband such a hard time for having a regular clean of the car every few weeks, because it's a good point. It's always looking good because we do it little and often, instead of just doing like this, I'm going to lose all the weight, or I'm going to whatever. I think the swapping out harsh toxic chemicals is a really, really important thing also. And it again goes back to what Amy was saying about why we promote a lifestyle change over just a short-lived diet. I wonder if I can ask you, Stephanie, because I remember, and I've said this so many times to you before, when I first met you, I just remember meeting this fantastic sort of fun woman with all this energy. But you have been on a bit of a health journey since then, haven't you? Would you mind sharing a little bit about kind of what your experiences of this cleanse that we promote, what that has been, and had you done any dieting before?
Hi there, Mari. Thank you for inviting me. I hope everyone can hear me. Yes, I remember when we first met. My personal experience of the cleanse has been fantastic, I have to say. I started with some ailments. They weren't life-threatening, but I had an ongoing stuffy nose. I was a mouth breather. I had skin issues. I had eczema. I was quite overweight for my 5'4" frame. And I thought even at that point that I was a healthy eater. I'd stopped eating red meat a very long time ago, before it became fashionable, simply because I just didn't really enjoy it. And I was at that time chicken and fish. I still eat chicken, but not very often. Fish more regularly. And I just was full of lethargy, no energy whatsoever. I've got anemia, and having been introduced to this lifestyle, I find that it's definitely impacted on the anemia. That's improved it, and it practically disappeared. And the skin issues have definitely improved. And I've been able to, again, my weight loss I've been able to maintain it without feeling like it's a chore, or without missing out on any of the naughty stuff that we can have from time to time. And what's funny is that people say to me often, because I'm a lady that lunches since I've been recently retired, and people are saying to me all the time, my God, the way you eat, and you don't seem to put on any weight, you know, what is it, what are you doing? And I know it's definitely the cleanse. I know it's that for 80% of the time I'm living the cleanse life. I'm avoiding all the irritants, all the foods that cause inflammation, like gluten, like you know, that's my nemesis. That's what I've discovered, that is my main nemesis, is the gluten. But avoiding these things regularly and often has really kept me in what I consider to be quite tip-top condition for a woman of my years. And I've been able to really listen to my body in a way that I didn't before. And I notice when I've had too much of a so-called good thing, how it impacts on my general energy, more increase of headaches, you know, general sluggishness. I notice these things, and I notice them so much quicker. But because I'm living this 80-20 lifestyle, I prefer it, actually, because I find that when I do, I am in a situation where I end up gorging on things I shouldn't, that the body's crying out and saying, goodness, stop it. And I'm so glad that I know how to stop it and when to stop it, and just follow this lovely lifestyle, which I'm never going to stop doing, because it makes me feel so much fitter, healthier. And yeah, people keep saying, you know, you look really well, Steph. And I know it's partly because, as well as, you know, I exercise regularly, I drink water regularly, I get as much hours sleep as I can do. I know it's a whole holistic approach, to be honest. But I didn't have it before. And I just know that I don't feel any of that guilt that everyone else feels when I do tuck in to that extra glass of champagne or wine or whatever it is that I'm consuming. Because for most of the time I'm living the life that suits my body inside and out.
And does that feel extreme to you? Because I can imagine that a lot of people will listen and go, cleanse, pah, you know, it's also extreme what they're doing. But is any of this
absolutely not? It doesn't feel extreme. It's really funny, because I think when I started for the very first time, I've not been a person, thankfully, who's been into diets. I like my food too much, and I really didn't like the idea of having to count everything. I've got friends around me who live this way or have done. My sister's a case in point. She's done a diet, various diets, and she lost the weight and she looked fantastic, but she bounced right back. And because they're not easy to sustain, these diets, it means that it's harder to shift. It's harder to change your life. Whereas this is not difficult at all for me. I look forward to the cleanse because it's what I do for most of my day-to-day living. So it's not hard. And people look at me strangely when I say no to that chocolate or I say no to that extra glass of wine. They look at me, but it's just the way I do it now. It's my, like you say, it's my default. This lifestyle is a default button. And so it's easy. It's just part of what I do. And I just can't recommend it enough, to be quite honest. But people have to be educated.
No. Sorry, I interrupted you. Did you think you'd ever be feeling this good?
I couldn't imagine. What I did know is that I walked into a store one day, tried on this dress, couldn't get into it. It was a size 16. I thought, no, I bleep for that. I'm not going to go and purchase a size 18. But at that time, I didn't actually know how I was going to achieve it. But then I came across this lifestyle, thank you to Amy. And I couldn't envision at the time how easy it would be. because everybody around me was doing dieting and they were falling off the diets and feeling guilty for having this and now, no, I've got none of that. It's life-changing, because it's changed my mindset as well, in so many ways, more ways than initially I thought it would. Just being more positive minded and just, being more congratulatory towards myself and just spending more time on myself as well, which is not a bad thing, because everybody gets better. Everybody gets more of you.
And we shouldn't poo-poo on the whole what it does to the mind, for the mind, because that's a really biggie one. I wanna ask Amy as well her experiences with the cleanses, but before I ask Amy that, I wanna just quickly ask you, Debbie, because you are a nutritional therapist and you help people who no doubt also come to you because they want to lose weight, and I was just wondering, do you also get this same feedback from your clients where they do feel better in themselves, that I never thought I would be able to feel this way again? How is that? Is that an experience that you have with your clients as well?
Yes, it is actually. I get a lot of my clients that have done the cleanse with us, which they all find that it isn't, and you know what, the weight thing is really probably quite low down on the list. It's how they feel about being in their own skin, how much better they feel, how much their mental clarity improves, their general overall well-being. And yes, of course, if they have pounds to lose, those pounds do tend to come off, and that's again why we do it monthly as well, because it just, you hit that reset button every month, because we're all human. Our bad habits do tend to creep back in, and I think that's what's beautiful about it, is that because we do it every month as a group, we all help each other and encourage each other, share recipes, ideas, etc., which is just lovely. It helps keep people motivated and on track. So going back to the original question, do I find that my clients feel benefit? Absolutely, because the type of lifestyle that we promote in the cleanse is what I promote to all of my clients. There are a few exceptions because they have other ongoing health issues that need specific attention, but other than that, most people would get by on our lifestyle program for sure. I mean, I know, I just quickly mention though, because I know it's one of the things that's dear to my heart. One of our guidelines, as we know, is to stop eating by 6 o'clock in the evening, or between 6 and 7, to not eat again until the next morning. So that introduces us quite gently into the realms of fasting, or intermittent fasting, as we like to use the term in our programs, is that you are stopping that, you're stopping feeding your body, and therefore you're giving your body a break from the food that you maybe be nibbling. Who fridge watches at night, goes to the, make a cup of tea, open the fridge and think, what can I eat? That stops with our program, because we encourage you, if we fed yourself well during the day, so it's less likely to happen in the evening. So therefore the fridge twitching does definitely stop, and we definitely encourage that. So by doing that, you are say going into a small fast, which we encourage to be at least 12 hours. So you're giving your body a break. So that means that you're digesting the food properly before you go to bed. It means you're giving your body a complete rest from food. You are then able to rest and repair while you sleep. And it actually does then help promote better sleep patterns. So that's just one of our guidelines. And the thing is with fasting as well, it's one of the ways very easily that we can get the body into what we call insulin sensitivity, because insulin is the hormone that actually gets the blood sugar out of the bloodstream and either uses it for energy or it puts it in stores, and that's what creates our fat storage. So if your insulin levels are often high, too high throughout the evening, then you're not going to get into that fat burning mode. So that's one of the reasons why we recommend that guideline wholeheartedly, is because it then makes the body helps the body become insulin sensitive again, which will then help you fat burn. So I just wanted to put that in, because as you know, fasting is one of my things, and it is really helpful. And then we do have the programs as well, which we can explore that a bit further. But yeah, that's one of the things that I love about our program, is that it just gives us that natural entry into intermittent fasting.
I think this is something we do need to explore further, Debbie, and maybe we can have a subsequent chat, you and I, about the fasting, and actually about brain health. That might be quite useful, because that could be one way we can be supporting our brain health. But I want to end by just asking Amy, because you've been doing these cleanses for a number of years, and you were the one that introduced me to it as well, not just Steph, for me as well. What has your experience been on, because you have also been doing diets before, is that correct?
Yeah, I think most
people... Are you laughing
do.
when you say it?
Yeah, the thing is, I never thought that was a thing that, you know, would be, I'd look back and think, what was I doing? But now looking back, I think, yeah, really, what was I doing? Because it was kind of what would be in the media, you know, this is how you can lose weight, and I hadn't ever been introduced to or explored any other way. So I've got 3 children, and my eldest is going to be 11 next week. So 11 years ago, I was in a very different place to where I am now in terms of my health. I really wasn't looking after myself. I was trying to pour from that empty cup, and my own health was always at the bottom of that priority list. So after she was born, I was slightly on the heavier side, you know, just had a baby, but I was really struggling, and had been struggling for the 10 years prior to that, with really quite bad IBS. Had never been able to get to the bottom of it. I was really, really tired. Yes, I'd had a baby, but I was also tired before I got pregnant. And after having had the baby, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was experiencing postnatal depression too. And I was a bit of a mess, if I'm honest. But after my second child was born 3 years later, I was introduced to the products and the concept of the cleanse and everything that comes with it, including all of these really important healthy lifestyle habits. And I was desperate to feel like the old me before I'd started feeling these, you know, kind of IBS and fatigue and things like that. And that's exactly what the cleanse and the products helped me to do, because they didn't just lift my brain fog and improve my energy levels, which was kind of the start of it all. That's where it started to help me. They kind of helped me become more conscious of all of those lifestyle factors that weren't serving me. It really kind of highlighted them. And so because I'd started taking these whole food capsules for a while already, I had this energy, and I also then had the motivation to create healthier meals, which I wasn't doing before. So I took advantage of this concept of doing a cleanse. And back then I actually did 30 days rather than just the 10 days a month, which I do now. And it really helped me, because in the mornings I wouldn't have any breakfast. You know, I had to get the kids to nursery, or, you know, if I didn't have time to have lunch, I was busy at work. You know, this kind of lifestyle can help with convenient but healthy options. So I adopted these cleanse guidelines. I started to implement a regular exercise program for myself. I was sleeping better. I was drinking more water. It all started to come together. I was meditating. I was doing breathwork exercises. Like, all these things were much more manageable, and that in itself helped me manage my own stress levels. And then my IBS turned itself around, and I was hardly getting any flare-ups, and if I did, it was quite clear it was because I'd you know, further along down the line after the cleanse, I'd realized that, you know, I'd had something that had triggered me off, and I actually discovered I was intolerant to dairy and certain vegetables. So initially, after my first ever cleanse, I did lose 0.5 stone, which I was quite shocked by, but obviously happy, because I just, you know, trying to lose the baby weight, I guess. But what I was amazed at was that it didn't pile back on, a bit like what Steph was saying, where she's got friends who have done the dieting, and then they, you know, their weight comes back on. And that's what had happened to me previously with diets that I'd tried. But I'd learned from the amazing Debbie here, she explains it so well, but it was, you know, I'd learned that I'd cleansed my body of a lot of the toxins that I'd been putting in. And instead of just cutting the calories, you know, I was learning how to really fuel and nourish my body. So I continued to lose any excess body fat, because I was adopting these guidelines in a really relaxed way. So, you know, once that initial cleanse was over, I could go back to this 80-20 kind of way of living, and every month or so I would do a 10-day cleanse, and over the following year or two I dropped 2 dress sizes, which was what my body needed to do, and it was just so much more sustainable. So I was generally eating more healing whole foods, which was what I wasn't doing before. I was feeling like that new woman, you know, and yeah, I went on to have my 3rd child, and this time around didn't have any postnatal depression symptoms. I was so grateful for that. I mean, if you've heard of the gut-brain connection, you'll understand how what you eat can really affect your emotional and mental health. So I'd managed to improve both my physical and mental well-being by addressing not just my diet, but all the other really important lifestyle factors that this cleanse promotes. I also do home workouts, weights, and kind of HIIT sort of cardio style for 30 minutes a day, Monday to Friday. And that has now become a non-negotiable, just like brushing my teeth and drinking water every day. It's just what I do now. And that's been really important for me, because going into my 40s, I know how important it is to stay strong into my later years, you know, support my bones by having strong muscles. So the cleanses are quite possibly one of the best experiences that have ever happened to me. I do them every month. I continue to do them because they keep me in check. My body loves it when I'm eating food from the earth, so to speak, as opposed to the, you know, the shops with the pre kind of packaged man-made things. And yeah, so the cleanses have just made such a difference to how I view food. I've learned how to listen to my body more. So if I do get stressed and tend to, you know, emotionally eat, it's okay. I'm in tune with it and I can address it straight away and get back on track. It's a win-win situation. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm sat and nodding because it resonates with me a lot. It's being more aware of what your body needs and what your mind needs, and also having the tools to do something about it. I certainly kind of thought it was normal to feel tired all the time. I thought it was normal to fall asleep on the sofa. I thought it was normal to not have any sort of get up and go energy. And it is incredible what you are able to do once you fuel yourself the way you need to be fueled. It's like what Aina said about the car. You don't just clean it once or put fuel in it once and expect it to run forever and run smoothly. You have to be looking after the machine that is your body all the time in the ways that you can. And I'm going to wrap up here, unless there's anything I've forgotten that you think is really, really important to add in. But I think I wanted to have you all on just to share a bit of your experiences and also a little bit of why we think that going into the holiday season, it's fine, always fine to enjoy your mince pies and enjoy your turkey or nut roast or whatever it is that you prefer, and enjoy your glass of, I don't know, wine or what have you. And also know that when the new year comes, that's not the starting point for some manic regime. If you adopt a healthier lifestyle slowly, I mean, this show is called the Small Steps to Wellness Show, and that name did come from the small steps that I took myself when I started on this lifestyle change journey. And if you do adopt those changes one by one, then I think you will find that you have a more healthier way of looking at the whole Christmas and New Year. And maybe you'll see beyond what the magazines tell you should be doing in the new year to drop whatever weight that is deemed necessary to drop. I think we've spoken about this before. It's not about what you do between Christmas and New Year, it's what you do between New Year and Christmas. So having habits that you can sustain with room for the ladies who lunch, or all of these things. I think that is a much healthier way, both physically and mentally, to look at things. So unless I've forgotten anything, I think we will say thank you so much for joining me, Debbie Best, Stephanie Bernard, Amy Durston, and Aina Framnes. And thank you all so much for your contributions. I will, as always, post your Instagram accounts on the show notes if you're happy to do so, because I think it's good for people to get inspiration and also to see where we've come from, because we are by no means perfect. We have our moments and we are just like anyone else. I think it can all sometimes feel a bit bit hard or a bit sort of, I don't know where to begin, and these people seem to have it so easy for them, and that's really not the case at all. And I will probably also post a few recipe links if you have them, ladies, for nice treats to have over Christmas or some meals that you really like. So if we could do that, that would be fantastic as well. Thank you all for listening. As always, any feedback much appreciated. And yeah, have a good rest of December.
You've been listening to the Small Steps to Wellness show with Mari Craig. I am passionate about helping mums get their energy back through simple nutritional changes, because we know that if mummy is happy, the family is happy. If you would like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram under @smallstepstowellness, or visit my website smallstepstowellness.info. Speak to you soon.